Good morning. Good morning and welcome. I don't know if, is this picking me up? Bert, can you hear me? Thank you. Good morning. Very good. Hey, Fight, how are you? Good morning, everybody. If you'll continue to make your way in, we have 9 o'clock on the dot, so we will get started. Welcome here to the J.W. Marriott Plant Riverside in Savannah. It's great to see all of you this morning here with us, and excited to begin this meeting. As usual, we have some housekeeping. For those of you who don't recall, this meeting is open to the public, so members of the media, whomever, are welcome to attend and to join. If you're in the room, if at any point you have discussion to offer, please make your way to the microphone so that you can be heard. If you are on Zoom due to the inclement weather, to be seen or heard, please use the raise your hand feature. You will be recognized by me or whoever was presenting. Kyle will unmute you and promote you to panelists so you can be seen as well. And Damon is going to keep me alert to those things. He's over here monitoring the Q&A. We will have 2 parts to this meeting. During the plenary session, all bar members can vote, and that's going to be, we're going to have reports, we're going to have a plenary session, and then we are going to have the Board of Governors meeting. So that's kind of the 3 big pieces of the meeting. So during the plenary session, all members can vote. During the Board of Governors meeting, only Board of Governors members can vote. If you want to vote, you need a clicker or your own device using the instructions that Jennifer sent for the mobile device voting. If you are in the room and you do not have a clicker, please raise your hand now and staff will circulate those. And I think I may be one of those people. If at any point you need help, please raise your hand and a bar staff member will assist you. Also, if you are attending virtually, make sure that your name is displayed correctly so that you can be counted present and recognized for discussion. A reminder that the chat is enabled, but it will not be monitored for questions. But anybody who wants to log into this meeting can see whatever you say in the chat or the Q&A. Again, Q&A, if you want to speak, and your virtual Q&A is how you get recognized, and Damon and the staff are going to monitor that. So next, I will ask Miss Lindsay Macon, Atlanta Circuit Post 20, to come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning. All right, our flag's over here.
Well, we're over there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And then Tua Barley will offer our invocation. I think he's on virtual.
I am. Thank you, President Cade. I do again apologize for my not being present there. Obviously, with the weather, it was difficult to get down to Savannah. Let us bow our heads in a moment of reflection and prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we gather here today in gratitude for the opportunity to serve our profession, our colleagues, and the people of the great state of Georgia. We thank you for guiding us safely to this place and for the commitment of each member present who has dedicated their time and efforts to the betterment of the legal community. As we commence this meeting, we pause to reflect on the lives of those who walked before us and made invaluable contributions to our community. This past year, we mourn the loss of cherished past presidents and members of this Board of Governors. We honor their memory and their lasting legacy. Today, we hold in our hearts the following individuals: our past presidents, A. James Elliott, W. Stell Huey, the Honorable Erwin W. Stoltz Jr., our past board members, Thomas C. Chambers III, George P. Pete Donaldson III, Phyllis J. Holman, Howard P. Wallace, James L. Wiggins, and the Honorable Gordon Robert Zeese. We also acknowledge and lift up those whose passing we may not yet know about. May all their dedication to the rule of law and their unwavering commitment to justice continue to inspire us. Comfort their families and all who love them, and may their memory be a blessing. We take a moment to reflect on the passing of President Jimmy Carter, a beloved son of Georgia and a beacon of hope, humility, and service to the world. His life exemplified the ideals of justice, compassion, and selfless leadership. We are grateful for his extraordinary contributions to humanity, and we pray for comfort and peace for his family and all who mourn his loss. Lord, we also lift up those impacted by the recent tragedies in Los Angeles and New Orleans, especially with the University of Georgia program. We pray for healing, comfort, and strength for the families during this difficult time. May they feel the support of those who care for them and find hope amongst their pain. Lord, we ask you for your continued guidance as we face the work ahead. Bless this board with clarity, wisdom, and unity as we address the challenges of our profession and the needs of those we serve. We acknowledge the struggles facing attorneys today, whether they stem from the pressures of the profession, issues of well-being, legislative changes, access to justice issues, matters that touch the lives of lawyers and the communities they serve. We remain steadfast in our commitment to fairness, integrity, and compassion. As we prepare to adjourn and return to our homes, we ask for your blessings of traveling mercies upon all in attendance. Watch over each of us, grant us safety in our journeys, and renew our spirits for the work ahead. In gratitude for the privilege we serve, we pray for strength, wisdom, and the spirit of cooperation to guide our decisions. May our actions today and always reflect the highest ideals of justice and service. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Tua. Next, we have our recognition of special guests. Justice John Ellington is here with us in the back of the room there. Thank you, sir. We're glad to have you. Judge Sarah Doyle from the Court of Appeals, Judge Elizabeth Gobeil, and Judge Ken Hodges are also here with us, or have been at some point in time. Past presidents, we also have Judge Ken Hodges. He always likes us to hear that twice. Where are you at, Judge? We also have Savannah native Sally Akins. Thank you. Good to see you. We have William Barwick. Bill Barwick is here. We have Tony Del Campo and Elizabeth Fight. Well, I'm getting there. Buck Rogers is also here. I saw him at dinner the other night. Ken Shigley is here. John Salmon, Daryl Sutton, and Lester Tate are all here. We appreciate you being here. Thank you. Let's give our special guests a round of applause. We will next move to Madam Secretary Hicks for the roll call.
You know, I have to walk all the way down here to tell y'all to do what you already know how to do, which is the roll is being passed around. Make sure that you sign it to show that you are here. If your name is not on here because you are a guest or a visitor or YLD Leadership Academy, put your name in the other guest list so that you can be accounted for as well. At the end of the day, please, whoever has it, bring it up front. Do not pack it into your bag. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Hicks. Next, we have the future meeting schedule. It is located in your board book on page 14. We are halfway through the meetings here, so there are really only two to announce. We have secured the Hyatt for the spring meeting, which will be in Athens. And then we look forward to seeing everybody in Ponte Vedra for the annual meeting at the Marriott down there. It's going to be a fun meeting. We are going off the premises, so to speak. We'll be going to an event space for the opening night, so it'll be a little different than what you're used to seeing. Our hotel is next to the players' course, so you will note a golf theme throughout this event. But the first night, we will be going to a event venue that has par 3 courses. We're going to have food trucks. We'll have games for the kids. And so it should be a neat place and be a little different than what we have done in the past. So we're excited about that special event. We're also going to, Hansel Roddenberry has done yeoman's work in getting a golf outing together. I believe it is going to be on Friday. We tried to find an opportunity where it wouldn't push into the swearing ceremony and kind of move some things around. So we're looking forward. He's going to host us at the Ponte Vedra Golf Club, and it should be a great event. So if you like to play golf, go ahead and be thinking about getting together with some teams of folks, and so we can have a strong and fun event. For the President's report, if you see one of your executive committee members, please commend them. We have had some pretty all-day-ish feeling long executive committee meetings, and the real President's report is the agenda that you see before you that has a lot of bylaws and a lot of cleanup things and then some new things that are important. We have had, I think, 3 meetings now, and we have really dug into the language and the information so that we could bring it to you in its best form for your consideration. We'll have a lot more on that, but really the President's report is that we have been doing the work that we said we would do at the annual meeting to look at bylaws, to clean some things up, to add some things where we didn't have anything previously that is just good governance to have, and so forth. I will also say, as part of the President's report, it's been a fun week of watching the weather. As a pilot, I'm used to watching the weather, but this is different and fun. And I want to thank everybody who could be here, and I also want to thank everybody on Zoom. Anytime freezing precipitation is forecast for the state of Georgia, it is a crapshoot and kind of a show when when and if it shows up. You don't know if it's going to show up. So I hope everybody made a smart decision, whether they chose to travel down here or they are staying at home. And I think Zoom is a great option to have when things happen that we could not foresee when we planned this meeting, 8 months ago now. So thank everybody for being here, and I'm glad that we could all participate in whatever way we're going to be able to participate. And with that, I turn it over for our Treasurer's report to Mr. Bill Gentry.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning to all of you. I'm going to talk a little bit about money. Financial statements through October 31st of 2024 can be found at pages 16 through 30 of the board book. This is the information for the first 4 months of the bar year. We've pretty much been following the typical game plan. The first few months of the fiscal year have the least amount of activity. There are really no financial surprises. From the treasurer's point of view, that's a great thing. In summary, the following are highlights for the 4 months ending with October 31st. This can be seen on pages 18 through 20. For the bar, excluding bar center operations, we had budgeted a loss of about $1.3 million. Bar center operations, we budgeted a profit of about $148,000. Pages 16 and 17 have a description of all line items of more than $1,000 in excess of what was budgeted. And based on actual results through October, no significant negative surprises for the year. Pages 27 and 28, you can see the generous contributions that the folks in the State Bar of Georgia have made to the Legislative Fund and the Georgia Legal Services Program. This is great. It does great work. These things, they do great work. We've actually gotten the November financials, but they came in after the board book was sent off to the printers. No significant items of note there. And the audit for the fiscal year 23-24 has been completed. No audit adjustments made by the auditors, no management letter comments related to operations. So banner year. Thank you.
Very good. And thank you, Treasurer Gentry. With that, we'll hear from Damon Elmore, our Executive Director, for the Executive Director's report. Thank you, Mr. President. I will be brief, as we'll have a comprehensive and really detailed update and report at the spring meeting, particularly focused on unallocated cash resources and other longer-term financial projections. But here now, I have about 5 updates, actually 6. As always, I want to thank and give my kudos and appreciation to all of our staff members, particularly those here working this meeting and the course correction and the adaptation and the pivots that they had to make for it, but all of the good work that happens at 104 Marietta Street in Tifton and in Savannah. It's good stuff, so I am grateful, and you should be too. One of the other areas relates to organizational growth and staffing in a different way. We've had some new people come on the team since our last meeting. We are confident that they will bring some good and fresh perspectives and help in areas like membership, ICLE, and our finance departments. So that's exciting. Another area that I wanted to sort of hint at and preview relates to risk assessment and administrative improvements. Wanted you all to know that we are not unaware of the external threats and challenges. So we've had some initial discussions with senior staff about what it is that we can continue to do to be sure that we're ahead, particularly in areas like technology and other issues. Those vulnerabilities and opportunities for improvements are always top of mind for us. Circling back to financial planning and projections, I mentioned that we'll have that comprehensive update, but the team and I and senior staff and I have been working diligently on finalizing a proposal for a 25-26 budget that will go to finance. We're also taking some harder and intentional looks at additional strategies for some of the long-range projections. This includes a proposed budget with multiple options or scenarios, deeper, harder looks, and then just making sure that we routinely update leadership and remain vigilant in this important area. Always want to let you know what's happening at 104 Marietta Street, your bar home. So as far as those improvements go, we've done some remodeling and renovations in Tifton as well. Many have used that place for a long time to host some events, and I think you'll like how comfortable it is now. I want to thank Paula and Sarah for leading that charge and reminding that the furniture there needed to be refreshed ASAP, and also thank LaCara for the work that she's done partnering with our landlord in making sure that we have a good space that's there. As it relates to 104 Marietta Street, we are never not doing work there. It's like painting the Golden Gate Bridge. But it's been some mechanical and electrical improvements that we've had. We are always looking for additional ways to make some safety and security improvements and just other general refreshments. And these reflect our commitment to maintaining a professional and functional space for you all. And I think the biggest highlight that we have that we want to announce are the unveiling and the operation of 6 electrical vehicle charging stations in our parking deck now. We haven't had that for a while. I see by your response you're excited about that too. And we have, Carrie Rose Martin actually was a proponent of it and has used it, so she can tell you how it's working. Hopefully that's what she will tell you, that it is working. Then the only other thing that I wanted to remind about is the good work that's happened on some strategic initiatives. You all know our committees, they just lead crucial work that directly impacts the profession. And particularly these year, are a reflection of the leadership and partnership from Ivy and your executive committee, as well as solid committee chairs like Darrell that are doing the work. And I encourage you all to tell your constituents and tell your friends to take an interest in the work of all of them, but particularly some at the cutting edge of improving the quality of legal services. And I'd mentioned Darrell, and so his committee, the Special Committee on Artificial Intelligence and Technology, which he'll give you an update on. But equally important is the work of the courts, the Supreme Court Study Committee on Legal Regulatory Reform. It is charged with developing recommendations that would bolster access to civil legal services for rural or low-income Georgians by giving them more options while also maintaining high standards for legal practitioners. I borrowed that, but I think it may do more. And so I just want to invite you to engage with the bar's representatives.
Ivy picked a solid group of people who represent a diverse interest, people like Jeremy Abernathy, Tua Barley, Cherish De La Cruz, Thomas Lindsay and Kevin Patrick, a few of them here on our board, as well as court appointees like Sally Akins and Susan Coppage, to hear about the committee's work and to provide your unique feedback and perspective, because your involvement and insights remain vital to the bar's success and strengthen and reinforce our mission of duty and service to the public and the profession. I'll stop here and see if there are any questions that I can answer. All right, that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Damon, and thank you for all of the good work that you do and for continuing to take my phone calls. Right. Oh, yeah, it stopped soon, right? Yeah. So I remember. Oh, I won't want to talk to you anymore by then anyway. Before we move forward with the YLD report, I made some remarks last night at dinner about how grateful I am for the YLD members who come to our events. And many of them come to our events, but they, for reasonable reasons of socialization, can't manage to get up at 9 o'clock for our meeting. Saying that as I was one of those people. So I say that to say that we have several of them here. So if you're a member of the YLD, if you could stand up and I could embarrass you, that would be wonderful. We're grateful to have you here. Thank you for taking an interest in what is going on with your bar, and please continue to be involved. And if there's anything any of the people sitting up here can do to help you, we will be glad to do it. And with that, I turn it over for a more precise report on what the young lawyers have been up to by their president, Mr. Kenneth Mitchell, Jr.
All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning. President Cato stole my thunder. I was gonna acknowledge all of my YLD members, but I appreciate that. You want me to do it again? Okay. So, yesterday we did have what we traditionally call our YLD Day. We had our YLD Leadership Academy Session 1, and so I would like to recognize any Leadership Academy participants who are in the room. Please stand again, I guess. Awesome. And so our Leadership Academy, as some of you know, is a 6-month session. We have 6 sessions where they go through leadership, learning about all the things that lawyers do, whether it's service, professionalism. And our next session will be in Atlanta, where they will be at the state capitol during a lot of things going on once this General Assembly goes back in session. So they will have a very robust time in February. I also want to acknowledge my co-chairs, Sam Mullis, Kelsey Spade, and James Banter. Are they all here? Okay, yeah, thanks for coming. Any Leadership Academy alum who are in the room? Okay, wow. So it's good so they can see how the trajectory goes. So yesterday for our YLD Day, again, my theme earlier was about service, engagement, and branding. I wanted to make sure we continue to serve the community, the profession, but also engage. So if you've seen any type of social media content out there, please engage with us to make sure we can, get more modern and get to helping people understand the practice of law and just getting everybody engaged. And so branding is also taking advantage and looking at your reputation, making sure you take pride in what you do and focus on your brand. So with that being said, we had headshots yesterday for anybody who wanted to improve their brand or enhance their brand, if you will. We also had a CLE yesterday, which I might add is open to everybody. If we do CLEs, anybody can come. It's not just for the younger lawyers. But that topic was branding with integrity. We were graced with some inspiring words from Shariki Jones, Lester Johnson, I think I just saw him, and Tony Del Campo. So they were able to talk about what your brand is and how do you enhance your reputation with integrity. And then we did our general session, which is our business for the event. Today, one last thing I wanted to remind everyone, we have a dog walking event with Renegade Paws at 12 p.m. after this. So it's an organization for rescue dogs, and that's going to be our service event for this weekend. One more thing, we have our 18th signature fundraiser. That will be March 8th, 2025, obviously. And our theme will be a night on the diamond at Truist Park in the Hank Aaron Pavilion. And we will be honoring our YLD Lifetime Achievement Award to Paula Frederick. And our signatures, yes. She's like, I'm on this world tour. So there we have our Signature Service Award, which would be to Ashley Akins, if anybody's familiar with her. She's done so much work for the YLD for a long time, since she got sworn into the bar. So we wanted to recognize her for that. Our tickets will be $100 for public interest, $150 for the general admission, and then our sponsorships range from $10,000 to $2,500. Wanted to acknowledge my committee chairs. We have Shannon Schultz and Ayanna Smith behind me, right here. And we call them the starting lineup. We're gonna stay with that theme of a night on the diamond. So my committee is called the starting lineup. One more thing, our spring meeting will be in Nashville, March 27th through the 29th. And we're still working out the details, but our CLE will cover the Elvis Act, if anybody's familiar with AI and all these things. It's called Ensuring Likeness, Voice and Image Security Act that Tennessee passed. And so our CLE will have some attorneys that can talk to us about that. So with that being said, that is the YLD report. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenneth. That is a great report, and we're grateful for you and all the work that the young lawyers are doing. Thank you. Next, we'll have Carlise Greer give us the Chief Justice's Commission on Professionalism report. We moved Carlise up here because she had to go last every time, and we just didn't think it was fair.
I am just grateful for an opportunity to speak to you at the meetings, whether it's earlier or last, but thank you, I appreciate that. Let me see if I can get this button to work. My name is Carlise Greer. I'm the Executive Director of the Chief Justice's Commission on Professionalism, and it is always a pleasure and honor to be here with the Board of Governors. I want to always start by thanking the chair of our commission, the Chief Justice, Michael P. Boggs, for his leadership and support of professionalism in Georgia. A few brief updates on what the commission is doing, as well as the State Bar of Georgia Committee on Professionalism, which the commission staffs, my office staffs that. Starting off with our Benham Awards, the 25th anniversary of the Benham Awards will take place on April 15th, yes, tax day, an easy date to remember, at the Nathan Deal Judicial Center. I hope that you all will join us. I'm pleased to announce the board book went to print before I was able to share this information. The awards were conceived originally over 25 years ago and still take place today as a statewide recognition of the various things that lawyers do for community services. So this year, we're very pleased to honor from Judicial District 1, Savannah, Mr. Wade Herring, who coincidentally, like me and Sharika, are Dartmouth alums. District 5, Mr. Steve Leibovitz, and the Honorable Judge Brian Ramos from Brookhaven, Chief Judge of the Brookhaven Municipal Court. From Judicial District 7, Marietta, Georgia, Judge Sonia Brown and Judge William McLean, now retired, Chief Judge of the Douglas County Superior Court. This year we have 2 Lifetime Achievement Award recipients, Ms. Kathy Cox, Milledgeville, Georgia, and Kenneth Diaz in Athens. And so we were really pleased and thrilled with the nominations that came in. If you nominated someone and they were not selected this year, the selection committee wants to see them nominated again. But we're thrilled to honor this group of lawyers who serve their communities, thereby improving the public's perception of our profession as well as giving back to their communities. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the Georgia Legal History Foundation, our fundraising partner, and Board of Governors member John Bell out of Augusta, who is the chair of the executive committee for the Georgia Legal History Foundation, and thank them for their support. We do not use any mandatory bar dues or professionalism fee money for the award ceremony anymore, and so we are indebted to the folks who sponsor. Our early sponsors are Greenbrook Treurig, Troutman Pepper, Austin and Bird, the Finley firm, Gentry Law Firm, thank you, Bill, a longtime supporter, and our patrons who are listed here, Kevin Patrick, one of our Board of Government members, Pat O'Connor, one of our past presidents, Daryl Sutton, one of our past presidents, one of our young lawyers active in the YLD, Jenna Emery, who has been a long-term volunteer, and Bart Bishop, one of our past award recipients, Anissa Floyd, and me. All right. A lot of work goes into all of the professionalism initiatives that I have the privilege of talking to you all about. I'm just the one that gets to say the great things about them, but the hard work and heavy lifting is done by our committees. Our planning committee is chaired by LaToya Williams, and we have some planning committees here in the room listed. These are the folks that are helping with the fundraising and the logistics for the award ceremony. And then our selection committee is chaired by Judge Joy Lampley Fortson. You heard the invocation from Tua Barley, one of our newest members of the selection committee. I don't know if any others are in the room, but these are the four folks that actually select the award recipients. More information about the award ceremony is on the Commission's website. We need volunteers. It is a labor intensive love, an act of love, labor intensive, honoring these lawyers. And we welcome the help of anyone who is interested in volunteering. Leadership Academy, YLD, make a note, check out the QR code, look and perhaps sign up to help volunteer for us. Next, moving on to some of the work of the State Bar of Georgia Committee on Professionalism. I've mentioned to you before the Connect with a Colleague. Last year, that program ran just in April. This year, it's going to run in March and April. And I want to highlight that for you because our next Board of Governors meeting, I believe, is March 21st through 23rd in Athens. And so if there is a member of the Board of Governors that you don't know that practices on the opposite side of the V that for you in litigation or does different kind of work, transactional work from you, as a Board of Governors member, you have an opportunity to get together with them in March, have lunch if you haven't had a lunch or a coffee or a cocktail with them before, enter the contest for a chance to win. Later on the agenda, when the legislation committee comes forth, you'll hear about the resolution. We've gotten a resolution proclaiming April as Professionalism Month for 2 years in a row. We hope to do it again with the Board of Governors' support. And this is in connection with the Connect with a Colleague contest. We build each year on this initiative with the help of the committee. And as I mentioned before, we have 2 courtside seats for Hawks game. We are looking for additional prizes. We've had one from Thompson Hine and Samantha Mullis, YLD. Are you in the room, Samantha? And Kathy Hampton are helping us with prize donations, and I thank them very much. Again, I get to talk about it, but the hard work and initiatives takes place from all of you, and we appreciate that support. Finally, Law Day. It is coming up in May. If you have not already signed up for a Law Day presentation, please do so. It really is a lot of fun. You can find more information on the bar's website. State Bar Committee on Professionalism has 2 CLEs that we are planning now, in the process of planning, one on March 7th and one on March 28th. These will be the free Zoom CLEs. I anticipate that it will be 1 hour of ethics and 1 hour of professionalism for each of these CLEs. So 2 hours total, 1 hour of ethics, 1 hour of professionalism each. If you go to the bar's website, those requirements of getting 12 hours each year are still in place until we hear something different from the court. So you can go to our events page. We'll be posting information about that in February. Connect with us, stay in touch with us. thank you all for your professionalism in serving on the Board of Governors, for all you do. Thank you, Daryl. I think we're going to turn it over to you next for all of your continued support.
Thank you, Carlise. And with that, I present to you Daryl Sutton, the committee chair of the Special Committee on Artificial Intelligence and Technology, for his report.
Good morning, it's your boy. Before I begin, Paula, I'd like to say a special thank you to you. Though you got your just desserts last night with the proclamation, which thankfully Ivy didn't read. Otherwise, everyone at dinner would have fallen asleep before dinner was served. I do want to say, on a personal note, thank you. During my presidency, you were an invaluable source of encouragement, of advice, and a person who I've always looked to as a leader of this profession, someone who has cared more about the profession and this organization than herself. We should all be so lucky to emulate your hard work. Thank you. You're welcome. All right, this is either going to work really well or this is going to fail miserably, so let's see what happens. All right, so I don't think that you don't have to look very far in the news to see stories about lawyers using AI in ways for which they are being disciplined. We've all seen the story about the lawyers in New York who filed a brief and had used AI to write that brief, and the AI program had created legal citations that didn't exist. So I figured, what better way to demonstrate for you the importance of this topic than to run a test in real time here today to see what we can come up with. So let's begin. Jennifer, you promised me this thing was going to work. There we go. So let's ask ChatGPT. Dear ChatGPT, please produce for me a picture. We'll do this one simple. Please produce for me a picture of the first couple of the State Bar of Georgia. That's the president and his wife. It's thinking. Ooh. Ooh. I'd say that's a deep fake. All right. You never try something once to determine whether it works or not, so let's do it again. Dearest ChatGPT, please show me a picture of a past president of the State Bar of Georgia who is irresistibly handsome, has a sharp, keen wit, and intelligence that can fill a room. Well, got that one right. All right. So the Special Committee on AI and Technology was formed at the beginning of Ivy's presidency because of the growing use of artificial intelligence, and particularly generative artificial intelligence, among lawyers, not only in this state, but across the country. And so we were formed with a twofold mission, which you can read there. Number one is to assess the Georgia rules of professional conduct and determine whether they adequately address developments in generative artificial intelligence and the use of generative artificial intelligence by lawyers in Georgia. And the second part of our mission is, after we do that, is to develop tools, best practices, advice for lawyers in Georgia who are now beginning to use generative artificial intelligence and other technology to assist and enhance their practices. So we sat down and we came up with 3 areas of examination. Number one, we're going to look at the rules of professional conduct and determine whether there are ethical implications as it relates to the rules for the use of generative artificial intelligence. Number two, if so, we're going to evaluate the need for the revisions to those rules to determine how the rules can be changed to adequately address the use of generative artificial intelligence by legal practitioners in the state. And then number 3, develop ideas and best practices for Georgia lawyers about how to use and implement generative artificial intelligence in their practices. Ivy put together a really solid committee. I've had the good fortune over the 20 some odd years that I've been involved in this organization to lead several committees. This is by far the best committee I've ever led. They are fan-freaking-tastic. They're smart, hardworking, committed to this topic and doing the work that we've been charged to do, but they don't take themselves too seriously. And that's a lot to say for a group of stellar people like this. I mean, these are some of the sharpest people I've come across as a lawyer. We have a decent representation of, we have a criminal defense lawyer on the committee, some plaintiffs' personal injury lawyers, myself, primarily a defense lawyer, and then several big firm lawyers not because there's a preference towards big firms, but because it's subject matter experts in this area all happen to work at big firms primarily. We also have a couple of lawyers on the committee who are in-house. And then we have a stellar group of, and I mean that very seriously, of folks who are serving as staff liaisons or as ex officio members of the committee. And while we're talking about that, I'd like to take a minute to thank Megan Jones, who staffs the committee, for doing incredible work. She keeps us going and keeps us straight, keeps us in order, and we could not do what we do without her help. So here was the timeline that we developed because of the somewhat urgent nature of our work. Number one, we were going to meet before October 30th to have a preliminary assessment of what we're doing. By December, we would hold a second meeting and come up with some preliminary recommendations to provide to the board today, which you'll hear in a minute. Then we'll hold another meeting before the spring meeting, the Spring Board of Governors meeting, and then at the Spring Board of Governors meeting, present you with an update and what would hopefully be our final recommendations, have a final meeting in April, and then before making our final report and delivering our final report to this board at the annual meeting. Well, because I'm on a committee with a bunch of overachievers, that just didn't work, and we've done more than that. So we held our first meeting on October 9th. We performed a general assessment of what we're supposed to do and the role that artificial intelligence, and particularly generative artificial intelligence, is playing in law practice. I will tell you that at that meeting, I'm a man who, for those of you in the room know me, think that the internet is still wizardry. So the fact that I'm leading a committee on artificial intelligence is quite an accomplishment. But I've learned a ton through this process, and I've been encouraged. For those in the room who fear artificial intelligence or generative artificial intelligence and what it may do to your law practice, I can tell you I am one of those people, or I was one of those people. I am no longer, because I now know, as well as anyone, that this technology will not replace you, because like any other technology, it is only as good as the person prompting it. And you cannot replace the prompter in order for this to work. And so for at least for the time being, in this iteration of it, our jobs are safe. And in fact, our jobs can be made better, and you can be made a better lawyer and do better work by employing this in your law practice. Second, we assessed the key issues and risks posed by Georgia lawyers' use of AI, and we set our priorities. We established a subcommittee to study and deliver recommendations to the committee itself about what our deliverables should be. What should we produce by the end of this process? And then we identified the Georgia rules of professional conduct that were potentially impacted by generative artificial intelligence. Went through the rules and identified the ones that could be at play. Between the first and second meeting with AI's help, because why not, we grouped those rules into categories. And those categories were then used to create 5 subcommittees that would study the categories of rules and determine the extent to which they needed to be modified to address this issue. So we held our second meeting on November 21st when the deliverable subcommittee reported to us their recommendations for what our committee should do. At the end of this year, what should we have produced? The first of those, it broke into 2 categories, basically, a primary mission and a secondary mission. The primary mission was the promotion and adoption of a proposed comment to comment 6 to Rule 1.1, which I believe is pending before the court now for their consideration and adoption. The second was to develop and promote amendments to the Georgia Rules of Professional Conduct identified by the subcommittees, and then develop and promote a formal advisory opinion as necessary that the subcommittees identified. The second part of our mission is more practitioner-related, practice-related. Develop and promote an AI toolkit for Georgia lawyers to use, produce an AI in the law CLE, and for those of you in the room who are anti-anything mandatory, I have some good news for you on that front. And then secondly, develop and launch a web page on the bar's website devoted to AI and the law. So we held our third meeting. In between the second meeting and the third meeting, the subcommittees met, vetted their categories of rules, and reported back to us on January 7th with their recommendations for what we should do as to each category. The first subcommittee was the Technological Competence and AI Integration Subcommittee. They recommended that we promote the adoption of a proposed comment 6 to Rule 1.1, which is the one that's pending before the court. The Confidentiality and Data Protection Committee recommended that the bar promote adoption of the proposed amendments to Georgia Rule of Professional Conduct 1.6C, which is on the agenda for this board to vote on today. So on behalf of the committee, I encourage you to adopt that amendment. The Confidentiality and Data Protection Subcommittee also recommended that we develop and promote best practices about obtaining client consent when inputting data to a generative AI platform, that we develop and promote best practices about ensuring that a utilized generative AI platform employs security and confidentiality features compliant with Rule of Professional Conduct 1.6 and 1.8, and that we ensure that client confidentiality information is anonymized, and I have no clue whatsoever what the hell that means, but it means something to them, is anonymized when it's input to a generative AI platform. The Unauthorized Practice of Law Subcommittee recommended that we develop and promote adoption of an amendment to Rule 5.3 so that it encompasses a generative AI tool within the definition of non-lawyer service tool. The Client Communication, Consent, and Ethical Obligations Committee had no recommended changes to the Georgia Rules of Professional Conduct that they studied. They did, however, recommend that we develop and promote guidance for Georgia lawyers about the development and use of Gen AI within their law practice, i.e. a CLE and toolkit. And then finally, the Advertising, Marketing, and Public Communication Subcommittee recommended that we develop and promote a comment to Rule 7.1, recommending disclosure by lawyers employing AI-powered chatbots that a client's interaction with a chatbot is not an interaction with a lawyer, but instead with an AI tool. So this is our preliminary recommendations. So where we will go from here, we will take these preliminary recommendations and we will continue to hash them out as a committee and come up with a final set of recommendations which will be presented to you at the spring meeting. That way you have time to study them, look at them, and consider them before any action is taken on them at the annual meeting. A couple of points that may not be readily apparent from this. Number one, these folks did a lot of work in a short amount of time to take all of the rules of professional conduct, group them into categories, study those categories, and determine whether any changes to those rules were necessary. In some instances, determine that none were necessary, which is a huge thing for a lawyer to do. And in other instances, determine that only limited changes are necessary, but also develop best practices and make recommendations on non-rules-based changes that can be made to the way that we operate to address the use of generative AI in our practices is a big freaking deal. These folks should be commended. So we will, from here, meet and continue our work. I want to thank Ivy for appointing this committee. It's been one of the more rewarding things that I've done through the State Bar of Georgia, and has taught me a lot, both about the subject matter and about leadership. Thank all of you for allowing us to do this work, and I look forward to seeing you again at the spring meeting.
Darryl, I want to thank you. You have a bunch of really impressive people on that committee and a lot of great ideas, and I know it's taken a lot of energy to marshal things and to accomplish what has been accomplished in this very short time, so thank you. All right, I will now adjourn the 305th Board of Governors meeting and call to order the plenary session of the membership of the State Bar of Georgia. So if you're a member of the State Bar, so this is part 2 of our meeting here today. So in this part, the plenary session, if you are a member of the State Bar of Georgia, period, you can vote. So if you are a member of the State Bar of Georgia and you'd like to vote, you need a clicker. And if you'll raise your hand, if you do not currently have a clicker, someone will bring it to you. And just keep your hand raised until everybody has a clicker. All right, while we pass out the clicker, we'll go ahead and post the test question. So all you have to do to vote is be a member of the State Bar of Georgia. And this is your, what is your favorite decade, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, or the 2000s and up? So just push whatever button corresponds to your answer. And Jennifer's going to monitor the answers to let me know where we're at. All right, with that, we'll close the poll. And overwhelmingly, the 80s won. All right. Now that we know that the clickers work, now that we know the clickers work, we will move to the proposed bylaws changes. And Mr. Bill Neesmith will step up and begin this with us.
Good morning, everybody. All right. We got a lot to go through with bylaws and with rules, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through these quickly. I'll be glad to stop, answer any questions if I can. This has been quite an effort through the work of the executive committee to bring all of this to you, and also a tremendous amount of work by Paula Frederick and Russ Willard and helping me with this and getting it like we want it to be, or hopefully like we want it to be. So y'all too feel free to chime in if I miss a point or something you think I need to reiterate. Also, just understand I'm gonna kind of just like go through them a little bit quicker than I normally do, like I said, so we won't be here until like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So the first one is on page 52 of your board book, and what this was sort of a startup when we were talking about looking at the bylaws and maybe what we want to do as far as cleaning them up. So this particular bylaw, if you were to look at it now, it's just this big, long freight train of a sentence. And so it got broken up into parts so it's more understandable. And then we added point 1.5, mandatory assessment for members admitted by motion. So those who come into the state bar from another state by motion must begin paying any mandatory assessments upon their admission. That was something that wasn't particularly clear. So that is the changes that are to Article 1 members.
All right, and with that, do I have a motion to approve the bylaw change as proposed? I have a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we will open the floor for the vote. A is to approve, B is not to approve. Okay, 120, we'll go ahead and close the poll. And we have overwhelming approval. Thank you. Bill, if you'll move on to Article 1, members, Section 2, active members and foreign law consultants.
All right, this starts on page 56 of your board book. Again, this is just another sort of a cleanup. What we've done is that where it says only active members of the state bar, is the way it reads now, are entitled to give legal advice or otherwise practice law, we decided we need to throw in good standing in there to make sure that you really can give legal advice. And then on foreign law consultants, we decided that admitted pursuant to the bar rule gave clarity, especially to someone who is a foreign law consultant, to make sure they understand they have complied with our rules. So that's that change.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve Article 1, members, Section 2, active members and foreign law consultants? Second? All right, having a motion and a second, a call for discussion. Hearing no discussion, we'll call for the vote. If you'll post the poll, please. All right, and again, do you approve the proposed amendment to Article 1, members, Section 2, active members and foreign law consultants? A is to approve and B is to not approve. All right, we got sufficient votes. If you will close the poll and publish the results. We only have 4 dissenting votes there. Very good. All right, so that one passes. Then we will, and I will also offer on pages 48, 49 through 51 of your board book is the summary. So if you just want to see the little part of the constitutional amendment like they post on the ballot, there's your cliff notes. All right, Bill, go ahead.
All right. And so on page 58 is Article 1, Section 6, affiliate membership and law student membership. The only purpose of this is that we needed to make our bylaw match the rule. So Rule 1206.1, law student members, does not say that to be a law student member of the State Bar of Georgia that you have to be a member, have to be attending a Georgia law school. And so that's what we've taken that part out because this has caused some confusion for membership. So that's all this does. And it just says, other than that, we just added that you must be enrolled and attending law school and be in good standing to be a member of the State Bar as a law student member.
Thank you, Bill. Do we have a motion to approve Article 1, Member Section 6, Affiliate Membership and Law Student Membership? Do we have a second? Do we have any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we will open the poll. Jennifer, if you could open the poll. And here we have, number 4, do you approve the proposed amendment to Article 1, Members, Section 6, Affiliate Membership and Law Student Membership as presented? Click A to approve and B to not approve. All right, let's go ahead and publish the poll. And that is overwhelmingly approved as well with 129 votes in favor thereof. All right, we'll move on to Article 3, Board of Governors, Section 13, Standing Board Policies, I believe, Bill.
All right, page 62 of your board book. This is new. And our bylaws say that we must follow Robert's Rules of Order. Robert's Rules of Order allows for deliberative bodies such as this to have internal or to have rules, standing rules or standing policies. Just those are semantics. It's really all the same thing. But we really didn't have anything in writing that said, okay, we have them, but what effect do they have? So that's what this sets out, is that it talks about the authority of the standing board policies, how we have to notify the membership of the state bar of these policies, and can they be amended or rescinded? And we also have a conflict resolution provision in here. So the purpose of this is just to provide written authority for the standing board policies and provide this rescission provision.
All right, thank you, Bill. I have a motion to approve. A second? And any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll put this to a vote. Open the poll. And the poll reads, do you approve the proposed amendment to Article 3, Board of Governors, Section 13, Standing Board Policies as presented? Push yes, click yes to approve, and B to not approve. Oh, wow, that one got people's attention. All right, we'll close the poll and we'll vote. Well, we had 10, the no votes came out on that one. Very good. All right. Moving on to Article 4, Executive Committee, Section 1, Members, EC Elections.
Okay. For anybody who's been through an EC election and knows it's like herding cats. It's a terrible process we've had to go through. No one knows what it means, and every time I do this, somebody like Sarah Cool comes to me and says, you got to fix this rule. So anyway, that's what I'm doing here, hopefully. But what this does is it just clarifies and simplifies the process for how we are going to elect EC members. And so I don't want to read it to you. I hope you've looked at it, but this has gone through a bunch of different iterations till we finally came out to what we think is the best way to do this.
Okay, and with that, I will ask for a motion to approve. I ask for a second. All right, and I will tell you that this was a lot of work. I will give you some discussion. This took a lot of time and energy of the executive committee about how we do elections and whatnot. And we may still continue to talk about that, but our goal here was to codify something that accurately reflects our current practice, and also that this is the only opportunity we have that we can approve such a rule, so that the wonderful people who desire to run for the executive committee at the annual meeting will know what the rule is in a way that's not this being reconsidered the day before the election. So that is why I would urge you to vote yes. Is there any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll open the poll for a vote. All right, do you approve the proposed amendment to Article 4, Executive Committee Section 1, Members, EC Elections as presented? Press yes to approve and no to not approve. Or B is not approve, A is to approve. How are we doing on our 1:30? All right, let's publish it. Okay, that overwhelmingly passes, and I think can tell you that anyone who wants to run for the executive committee this year thanks you. So thank you very much. All right, Bill, let's move on to Article 4, Executive Committee, Section 3, Misconduct and Removal.
Okay, this again is also something new that, what we wanted to do was to come up with a new bylaw that provides a process to handle misconduct and if necessary, the removal of volunteers, officers, Board of Governors members, and other people. Typically, this is not a problem, not an issue with us. Usually the most difficult thing that staff has to deal with is maybe someone who's been overserved or something like that. We've had to ask them to please go to your room. But this has other implications, and you should look at it very carefully because we should have a procedure in place, and that's what this provides, is a procedure. If something were to come to the attention of staff or of the Board of Governors or any leadership person, of how we would handle any type of misconduct.
And with that, do I have a motion to, or sorry, do I have a motion to approve? All right, do I have a second? All right, with that, I'll open the floor for discussion. And I will go ahead and offer on this one too, since this is kind of a first look, that in looking at good governance practices, we plan for contingencies, and we really don't have anything in our bylaws, records, wherever, to handle if something, someone acts out or something goes poorly. And so we wanted to have a stated procedure so that everybody would be on notice of what the procedure was, and that if something came up, that they could go somewhere and look and see, all right, this is the process, this is how I could appeal it, et cetera. Again, this was the subject of a lot of work by the executive committee. And, anything you do like this is never perfect, but we do believe that this is a very good faith effort and a fair system that makes sense. So any other discussion? Please. You got to go to the mic.
I noticed I think the first time for one of our bar meetings, the code of conduct as I came in, is that in any way related to, will it be posted at all of the meetings? Does it have any impact on expectation for bar members at meetings and this rule? I'm just curious, I don't know.
Bill, do you want me to answer that?
Well, either way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, the code of conduct that we have is something that Paula came up with and drafted, and it's just sort of a advisory or what we expect. This is a procedure, so that the two are not the same.
When it comes to defining misconduct, so in the procedure, it uses the word misconduct, and I see it has a definition in the procedure. Is there any relationship between the code of conduct we see posted and misconduct as stated in this rule? Just to help me understand.
I mean, at some point, if you are in violation of what you see out front, then that would trigger this procedure. But it's line 70 on, this is why we're going to miss Paula here. Line 70. Paula has a really, come on.
When it talks about it's complementary
Yeah.
to all of our policies, such as our harassment policy, this other policy.
Right.
So if you'd look at that would tell you, I think would answer your question.
And Carlos, they are designed to be complementary. I mean, we decided that we needed to put something in writing to sort of set expectations for how people behave at meetings. We don't often, but actually regularly, do have to ask people to go home and sober up. And we didn't have anything anywhere that said, we expect you to behave in a professional manner at our professional events. So we thought it was a good idea to add some language there. I noticed that walking into the Fox Theater or Atlantic Station Mall, I mean, everywhere, you see these codes of conduct posted, and just thought it was a good idea to do one for the State Bar of Georgia. So that it is complementary to this, and they all came about at the same time, just in an attempt to set expectations.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we will put this to a vote then. So the vote is going to be for number 7, which you can see on the screen. It's going to be, do you approve the proposed bylaw Article 4, Executive Committee Section 3, Misconduct and Removal, as presented. A, yes, you approve, and B, no, you do not approve. $125. All right, let's go ahead and publish the poll then. All right, that passes. We had some no's. Figured we'd have some no's. Very good. All right, Bill.
All right.
Article 4, Executive Committee, Section 4, Standing Executive Committee Policies.
All right, this particular bylaw also is new. This is pretty much so identical to what you just voted on for the Board of Governors standing policies. It just is, it's a little different, of course, because it's an EC standing policy. And it gives the same provisions of giving the authority, the notification, accessibility, amendment and rescission, conflicts and conflict resolution. So the reason I didn't put them side by side is numerically they don't make sense, but they really are pretty much the same thing. But there's some differences.
All right, and with that, do we have a motion to approve? Do we have a second? All right, is there any discussion? Yes.
I'd like to note a typographical error on line 6 of page 77. The I and the word in should not be. Sorry, never mind. Back it up. Take that back.
Any other discussion? Thank you for your attention, Daryl. We appreciate your attention to detail. It's not the only thing that has hallucinations.
Yeah.
Zing. All right. Hearing no further discussion, we'll open the poll for a vote. And this is, do you approve the proposed bylaw Article 4, Executive Committee, Section 4, Standing Executive Committee Policies as presented? Click A to approve and B to not approve. All right, we'll go ahead and publish the poll. All right, 128. That passes. Bill number 8.
All right, Article 8, Section 5, Authority to Establish Internal Rules on page 85. This really came out of some of the committees that either our staff or some of Bar Council unit staffs. Robert's Rules of Order always allows committees to have traditions or rules that they can create, but there was no written authority for it. And that was a question. Somebody said, well, where in our bylaws does it say we can do this? And where it says it is, we'll follow Robert's Rules. Robert's Rules says you can. But it's probably better for it to be in writing so that when people look at it, they know exactly what you can do. And it also provides, which I think is very important, that if you're going to create any sort of internal rules, that they have to come to the Office of the General Counsel to ensure that they are consistent with the bar's rules, our bylaws, and our policies. And that's something that Robert's Rules does not have. So this is just something that gives better clarity and gives a procedure for committees which wish to have internal rules.
Thank you, Bill. All right, can I have a motion? Have a second? All right, and any discussion on Article 8, Committees, Section 5, Authority to Establish Internal Rules? Hearing no discussion, we'll open the voting. Vote A to approve, B to not approve, and the question is whether or not you approve the proposed amendment to Article 8, Committees, generally Section 5, Authority to Establish Internal Rules as presented. $130. All right, we have votes in, and we will open that up, and we have 128 or 124 approve. All right, Bill, if you'll move on to Article 8, Committees, generally Section 6, Quorum.
Quorum. Okay, and this is the last of the bylaw, proposed bylaw changes, or this is actually it's an addition. What this does is set a quorum for all state bar committees except the executive committee, and it should be at 40% of the committee members. And the executive committee liaison for each committee counts toward quorum and can vote. That is previously in some of our bylaws, but felt like it needed to be here, I guess more if anything else as a reminder. But what this does, it just improves the ability for committees to be able to conduct business because, quite frankly, people are very, very busy, and sometimes we have a lot of committees, people travel a long distance just to find out they don't have quorum. And so by reducing the quorum to the loyal few, so to speak, it makes these committees be able to do business.
All right, do I have a motion to approve? Have a second? All right, I open the floor for discussion. Go, and I will offer this. As a president who has to reappoint people to committees, it's hard to find a good reason to take people off of a committee. And so if you're on a committee and it's just not for you anymore, it's okay to reach out to me or to Chris and say, I've enjoyed being on this committee, but it's not for me anymore. And we will say, thank you for your service. And then that'll give us the opportunity to go find one of these people who are hidden over here in the Leadership Academy who have the energy and interest in that subject matter and put them on the committee. So in this instance, it's okay to be a quitter. And we need more quitters, or else we wouldn't need to lower the quorum. And this is not an in-person problem. These committees frequently meet by Zoom and do not have enough people to have a quorum, even just for people to sign in on a Zoom meeting. And with that, the chair recognizes Mr. Sutton, or past President Sutton. Or go ahead.
I have a clarification question.
Yes.
This would not apply to the Board of Governors.
No, the Board of
Okay, that's
the Board of
totally
Governors quorum is already set
Thank you,
by
Kate.
bylaw,
Yeah.
and it's less than 50%, just as this.
In vetting this, excuse me, change, was there any discussion by the executive committee about the potential use of this to abuse, the potential abuse of this by folks leading committees in order to accomplish nefarious ends?
I would say that was considered, the overwhelming consideration, though, was that most committees are having a very hard time being effective. They're having a hard time being effective doing legitimate work. And so they don't really have the energy to do nefarious work.
Okay.
Would be the,
Well,
I mean, yeah, we did discuss it was subject to abuse. But right now, the primary driver is to allow them to do legitimate work. And if anybody else from the executive committee wants to chime in.
If your question is, could somebody quickly put together a committee meeting and then vote something in?
that's precisely my question.
Okay, then the committee can meet again and do a motion to rescind that. And that can be done.
Theoretically.
No, it's,
I mean, I understand that it can be done. Is this the solution to the problem at hand? If the problem is committees having enough participation to meaningfully meet and conduct business, is lowering the quorum requirement so they can meet and conduct business the actual solution, or is composing these committees in a different way, or realizing that these committees, some of which may not need to exist, the actual solution?
Well, I will say if this board votes this down, then when Mr. Twyman gets to make his committee appointment, he's going to have a pretty good reason to start kicking people off committees.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah,
perhaps
so-
constituting them with less members
Yeah.
would be a more helpful solution to the problem. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your comments. All right. Will you read? You have to speak into the microphone or the people online can't hear you. All right.
okay, the question, as I understand it, is there any concern that lowering the quorum will create decisions that are not reflective of the entire body or the committee? And the answer would be, I guess that it could. That's just something. Some of our committees are small, and 40% versus 50% is one member, and that's it. And in some, it may be more than that. So it just, again, these committees, most of these committees, as you know, aren't able to do anything on their own without it coming through the Board of Governors if it's going to have an effect on Georgia lawyers.
And Judge Dent? You need a mic. All right.
I think it's 44 or 49 members.
Any other discussion? Thank you for all those who gave discussion and thoughts. I thought that's always helpful for the decision. Hearing no further discussion, we will put this to a vote. So Article 8, committees, generally Section 6 quorum, and to move the quorum from 50% plus 1 down to 40%. A is to approve it, and B is to not approve it. Okay, we got 130 votes, and we will close the poll, and that one was closer. It passes. All right.
That is all I have for bylaws.
Thank you very much. All right, if you, Bill, if you can take a seat for a minute.
I sure will.
That concludes the plenary session. If you have a clicker and you do not have a green name tag, that means you're not a member of the Board of Governors, and you need to raise your hand so that we can recollect the clickers. So if you're a member of the, we're going to move into the next section of our meeting, which is which is a Board of Governors meeting. And we're going to collect the clickers. If you do not, and you'll know that you're not a member of the Board of Governors because you don't have a green name tag. All right, and with that, while the clickers are being collected, I adjourn the plenary session and reconvene the 305th Board of Governors meeting. So again, if you have a clicker and you're not a member of the Board of Governors, please hand over your clicker. Madam Secretary, would you like to present the minutes of the 304th Board of Governors meeting?
Hello again. If you turn to page 42 in your board book, you will see the minutes from our Saturday, November 2nd meeting that was held in Jekyll. The minutes are before you, and I ask if there are any additions or corrections that need to be made. I don't see David. Where's David? Is David online? Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. Hearing none.
Hearing none, turning it over.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Do I have a second? All right, any discussion on the minutes? I think there was none, and we'll call for a vote. All right, this is number 11. Do you approve the minutes of the 304th meeting of the Board of Governors as presented? It's going to be A, yes for I approve, and B, no, I do not approve. $95. We may have lost we've lost some voters anyway, so, yeah. There we go, cut it off. All right. We had one not approved, that must be Mr. Lipscomb. David does a good job keeping us on track with our minutes because they get presented at the executive committee meeting and he usually gets them right by the time we get here. So we appreciate his input. All right. As you have noted, this is going to be a long meeting. So if you need to go to the restroom or step out for a minute, certainly do that. I'm going to avoid taking a break because it usually takes twice as long as I tell people we're going to have a break for to get people back in the room. So with that, we will, Bill run away? There he is. Okay, we will ask Mr. Neesmith to come back up here and continue to do the heavy lifting of this meeting.
All right. In your board book, the executive summary for the action items are on page 50. That's where they start with bar rules. And these are bar rules. These, of course, can only be voted on by the Board of Governors. Some of these rules will be coming to you from the Disciplinary Rules and Procedures Committee, which will only require a second because it comes to them from them as a motion to this group. So the first one is Rule 1302, composition. This removes a lot of the old language and simplifies the rule. There's no change to current Board of Governors members. I mean, it doesn't eliminate anybody. It stops the Board of Governors from continuing to get larger, and it does allow approved travel expenses, which is something that, of course, the Board of Governors have to vote on, but that's something that is not said before. But this is just, the other rule really just was very, very hard to read if you tried reading it. And so this is an attempt to make it where it's much simpler.
All right, thank you, Bill. And with that, do I have a motion to approve the rule as presented? Second? All right, and open the floor for discussion. Yes. Who?
As I had mentioned to Mr. Neesmith before, there are 3 words that are missing from the amendment that you're doing that were not accounted for from the original rule, and that is the number of.
So is that a,
Well, before we make when we talked
what
about.
page are we on?
We're on page 91, and if you'll look at line 9, so if you read the way it starts at the beginning where it says, the Board of Governors shall be composed of the following, forget about number 1, go straight to number 2, then it would say, the Board of Governors shall be composed of the following members elected by the membership of the State Bar of Georgia and each judicial circuit based upon, and then it goes on. And what Pat was saying is that it should say, the Board of Governors shall be composed of the following, the number of members elected by the membership of the State Bar of Georgia. I don't know that it really, that's what his suggestion.
okay.
And if you want to make it in the form of a motion to amend, then.
Because it doesn't show here that it even existed. Those words are not even shown to start off with, so yes, I make a motion that it is.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to amend by adding the number of and after the numeral 2. Do I have a second to the motion to amend?
Number of members elected by the membership, not active members, the number of Board of Governors members.
Well, there's a motion on the floor and I've asked for a second. Not hearing a second, the motion fails for lack of a second. Okay.
Bill, why the elimination of the +7 for the Atlanta circuit? Just because size justifies current representation?
The question was, why the elimination of the +7 for the Atlanta circuit? Because it's already been accomplished. That was something that was part of the original language when it was being set up. It's not necessary at this point. Yeah, it happened in 2001. It's already happened.
Any other discussion? Yes. Thank you, Katie.
So are we basing the Board of Governors members on whether or not there's changes to the judiciary? Because that's based on, there's more judges here, but workload assessment, right? As a mix with population? Well, I'm sorry, let me be more specific. I'm looking at pages 92 and 93, and it talks about if the geographical limits of the judicial circuit are changed by talking about a reduction of Superior Court judges. And then part 2 says if the change in geographical limits does not result in a reduction in the number of Superior Court judges, where is it talking about whether there's an increase in Superior Court judges? Is that grounds to increase the number of candidates in that?
No, what this rule does is leave the Board of Governors at its present size.
Okay.
Because we have the largest Board of Governors in the United States.
So we're only talking about where we would reduce the number?
You're not losing.
Okay. So there's no consideration for, like, if my circuit just got another judicial spot, would we then be looking at an additional Board of Governors?
No.
Okay.
Any other question or discussion? Thank you. All right, hearing no other discussion, we'll put it to a vote. All right, this is number 12, poll number 12. Do you approve the proposed amendment to Bar Rule 1-302 composition as presented? Only Board of Governors members are voting, I just remind you. And that's yes, I approve, A, or B, I do not approve. Okay. All right, we got 100 votes, so we'll publish the poll. And that passes. Bill, if you'll present Bar Rule 1-501 license fees, I believe that's the next one.
Okay, this is just a cleanup of the rule. It makes the rule align with the Office of Bar Admissions rules. It removes some of the tedious provisions that we have never used. One of the things is that, like, for instance, on page 100, we're supposed to give a certificate from the Office of General Counsel certifying or that a suspended member is not presently subject. We don't have any certificates. So we're changing that to a letter certifying, which is just cleaning up some of the language. Instead of 5 years for the suspension, it's 3. That's what the Office of Bar Admissions says. We're trying to be in line with their rules. And then on page 103 is the longest, most onerous process I have ever seen for someone who says, yes, I did pay my bar dues, when we say, no, you didn't. When all you got to do is say, here's my canceled check, or here's my, it's something that needed to go. It's never been used. I mean, because either you paid your dues or you didn't. And if you did, you can prove it. So anyway, that's what that's about. Makes you wonder why it was there to begin with. But there it is.
All right, Bill, thank you very much. Do I have a motion to approve? All right, I heard a motion. Do I have a second? All right, hearing a second, is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we will open the poll. The poll question is, do you approve the proposed amendment to Bar Rule 1-501 license fees as presented? Reminder that only Board of Governors members should be voting on this. A, for you approve, and B, for you do not approve. There you go. We'll close the poll. And that is approved. All right, I believe we're on Bar Rule 1-501.1 license fees, late fees.
Okay, this just is another update of this rule, and it just removes the sliding scale that we had where it went from 75 to 100 and on up, and just puts it at 175 just across the board, because it creates a lot of work for our accounting department and membership department to try and keep up with all of this, and it's really not worth it. And it's just, and most of the people that don't pay their dues on time, when they get the first notice, hey, you forgot to pay your dues, they really probably, that's what happened. They forgot and they did it. And so this just makes it a lot easier for staff to be able to handle this. And then it also allows a member may submit a request in writing for a waiver of late fees to the executive committee, and they need to show some kind of good cause, such as extreme financial hardship, some sort of illness or something like that. Maybe you didn't pay your dues because you were in a hospital somewhere and couldn't do it, or a natural disaster or something like that.
All right, hearing that presentation, do I hear a motion to approve? Do I hear a second? All right, hearing a motion and a second, open this up for discussion. Bill did a great job with that one. I don't have anything to add. All right, not hearing any discussion, we'll open the poll for a vote. All right, the poll is now open. Please vote. Do you approve the proposed amendment to Bar Rule 1-501.1 license fees - late fees as presented? A reminder that only Board of Governors members should be voting. A, yes, I approve, or B, no, I do not approve. So please vote now. 110 will close the poll. All right, and that passes. Pay your dues on time, people. All right, moving on to Bar Rule 4-106, conviction of a crime, suspension, and disbarment. And this one comes from the Disciplinary Rules Committee.
That's right.
There's our first.
This comes as a motion of the Disciplinary Rules Committee and has absolutely nothing to do with conviction of a crime, suspension, and disbarment. Instead, it just talks about how a report of a special master shall be filed with the clerk of the disciplinary board, and then a copy of that report and recommendation will be served on the respondent, and the clerk will then file that case with the Supreme Court. And the way it was before is that it would go most of the times it would be filed with the court, then the disciplinary clerk wouldn't know the procedures. The clerk needs to be in the loop, obviously, and it's the clerk's job to make sure everyone gets a copy of this. So that's all this does, is it just straightens out something we should have straightened out, to make sure that it goes to the clerk first, and then the clerk takes care of the respondent and the court.
All right, hearing a second. Do we have any discussion? Thank you, Gary. Any discussion? All right, hearing no discussion, we will open the poll for a vote. It's been properly moved and seconded. And the question is, do you approve the proposed amendment to Bar Rule 4-106, conviction of a crime and suspension and disbarment of the rule as titled, as presented? Only Board of Governor members vote. A, yes, you approve. B, you do not approve. All right, we have a sufficient number of votes to close the poll. All right, that overwhelmingly passes. All right, Bill?
All right. The next one is Rule 4-108. Again, this comes from the Disciplinary Rules and Procedures Committee as a motion to this body. This is the one that says conduct constituting threat of harm to clients or public, emergency suspension. The change has nothing to do with that. It's exactly identical to the previous change you just approved, which says that the clerk of the special master shall file the recommendation with the clerk of the state disciplinary boards, and then the copy will be to go the respondent to the clerk. Again, this is just something that adds in the clarity of the process.
Thank you, Bill. Do I have a second? Second. All right, hearing a second, having properly been moved and seconded, is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, let's open the poll for the vote. And the question you're voting on is whether or not you approve the proposed amendment to Bar Rule 4-108, conduct constituting threat of harm to clients or public, emergency suspension as presented, and A, for yes, you approve, or B, for no, you do not approve. All right. That passes. All right, Bill, I think we're on
Rule 1.0, terminology and definitions. Again, this is from the Disciplinary Rules and Procedures Committee. What this does is it defines attorney, counsel, and lawyer. Leave it to lawyers to be able to say, wait a minute now. An attorney might be an attorney in fact, or, and counsel could be a mental counselor or something, somebody using their six. But these terms are consistently used. Everything means lawyer, counsel, or attorney in the way that it's used within our rules. And that's what this does, is it just defines, it adds A, which tells you what attorney is, and then we have to renumber, and then counsel, it tells you what counsel is, which is, again, it's somebody who is duly constituted and authorized by anybody or state or territory of the United States, the District of Columbia, or a foreign nation. Like, for instance, it talks about the Office of General Counsel. So, yes, certainly all of us are lawyers in the Office of General Counsel, and this just makes sure you know that. And then on page 127, again, it talks about lawyer and has that definition as well. Everything else is just re-lettering and renumbering, and that's all this does.
All right, do I have a second? Second, having been heard, this is properly before you for discussion. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll open the poll for a vote. The poll is now open. And do you approve the proposed amendment to Georgia Rules of Professional Conduct 1.0 terminology and definitions as presented? A is for yes, I approve, and B is for no, I do not approve. And I now actually see where I can see the responses. All right, we are over 100 responses, so we will close the poll. And 103 are in favor of that, so it is approved. All right, Bill.
Okay, and this last one, yay, page 154, Rule 1.6, confidentiality of information. And then if you look at line 40, that's where this begins. This was just mentioned in Darrell's AI committee report, where we're saying that we're adding C, a lawyer should make reasonable efforts to prevent the inadvertent or unauthorized disclosure or unauthorized access to information relating to the representation of a client. That's all there is to there, other than a comment which starts at page 68. I'm sorry, it is not underlined. It should be, but if you'll look where it says comment 5, that is a new comment, and it talks about confidentiality given into related bodies of law, the attorney-client privilege, and the work, which includes that work product doctrine, which is a law of evidence. A lot of people don't, get that confused between confidentiality and attorney-client privilege.
All right, and we only need a second. Do I have a second? All right, hearing a second, the floor is open for discussion. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we will move to the vote and open the poll. Okay, the poll is now open. This number 17 of our poll questions is, do you approve the proposed amendment to Georgia Rules of Professional Conduct 1.6, confidentiality of information as presented? A, yes, I approve, and B, I do not approve. I see we have over 100 responses. Y'all are getting good at this and voting fast. Thank you. And so we'll close the poll. All right, that wins overwhelmingly and passes. So right now, Bill, don't go anywhere. Please, Bill, Russ Willard, and Paula Frederick have worked tirelessly to put this ridiculous package of information that I think is ridiculous in scope, but really impressive. Their attention to detail, it's important work. And the board itself, thanks to you for doing a lot of good work. But Bill, I want to express our gratitude, especially for me and from the executive committee. I came before these folks 6 months ago and told them that we're going to do a lot of work with bylaws, and you guys, you made that happen. So Russ, thank you. Paula, thank you. And Bill, thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you.
But I did want to say one thing is that I want to make sure that I tell Paula how much I appreciate the past 10 years of being able to work with you, and that most of the time when I come to work, she makes it fun and interesting, most of the time.
All right, and with that, I will turn it over to Madam Secretary Hicks in her dual capacity as the chair of the Center for Lawyer Wellbeing to tell us about a dues approval request.
If you turn to page 186 in your board book, the Center for Lawyer Wellbeing came to you at our last meeting and asked to make an adjustment so that the center could ask for, to be able to have dues and not have to wait until the annual meeting to be able to ask you to set those dues. So now we're coming to ask you to set those dues. The Center for Lawyer Wellbeing has decided that it would like to have its first bar dues, center dues, to be $40 per member at this point. We are doing individual memberships. Remember that this part of the effort to establish the center was so that we could continue to do the work and provide services to you as members of the board of governors and the members of the bar to bring you wellness activities, to be able to satisfy and reach out to you and provide programming. And we needed funding to do that. So now we're at the point of asking for that ability to raise those funds. So we're asking you to approve $40 for our membership. On page 186 and 187, you see what those dues would cover in its initial stages. Are there any questions? Voluntary for people who would join the Center for Lawyer Wellbeing, and we hope that it would be included on the bar dues statement so that people who want, members who wanted to join the center could choose to do so at that time.
And I would add that law students are free.
Law students are free. And we will be coming later and we'll have some dues structure for firms and everything, but right now this is for members.
Hang on, is there a motion to approve the request? So moved. Is there a second? Or is there any discussion? Any other discussion? All right, we'll let you go vote. Thank you, ma'am. And another thanks to Javon for all her work that she's done in this space to get us to where we are. So we will open the poll. And the poll, number 18, do you approve the proposed Center for Wellbeing dues as presented? The only Board of Governors members vote A for yes, I approve, B for no, I do not approve, and $40 per year is the request. And students would be no cost for student members. We're headed to 100. All right, there we are. Now, seeing 100 votes, we will close the poll. And that was overwhelmingly approved. Good stuff. All right, now we will move to the nominations of ABA delegates to the ABA House of Delegates. Georgia has 6 delegates to the American Bar Association House of Delegates. These positions are open to any member of the ABA and who is also a Georgia lawyer. The delegates are not funded by the bar. They pay their own way to ABA meetings, and 2 of the ABA delegate seats are up for nomination at this meeting. Post 2 is currently held by Glenn Hendricks, and Post 4 is currently held by Paula Frederick. Both Glenn and Paula have asked to be renominated, and that is the recommendation from the rest of the delegation. We need a nomination and a second for these positions. The ABA House of Delegates do not require a full vote by the board, but we do need 1 member to nominate and 1 to second. Yes, Gary. I would nominate the 2 said names. Okay, hearing a nomination, do I have a second? All right, hearing a second, there you go. If anybody else is interested in running for these posts, you may do so by filing a petition. You can contact the bar rules or contact State Delegate Bob Rothman if you would like to do so. That sounded like the disclaimer at the end of a drug commercial. The nominees will be on the ballot with other board seats and officer positions this spring. And now, the part of the meeting that you have all been waiting for. The return of the magical clock that will ensure that you will not be here till 2 p.m. this afternoon. We're going to now nominate state bar officers, and be patient with Jennifer. She received very in-depth training on how to use this wonderment of technology that is free of AI because it's not plugged into anything but electricity. So we will give 5 minutes on the clock for nominations, and we will give 2 minutes on the clock for seconds. The clock does have an alarm, as Daryl Sutton learned last year, even if you flip it over. All right, and so we're set. We're going to do nominations for state bar officers. These are the people who will run in the election that you get to vote for in the spring. And the first set of nominations will be for the office of secretary. And I understand that we have, yep, Tracy, there she is. All right, you have been promoted, I think.
Good morning, can you hear me?
We can't hear you, hang on.
Okay.
Say something, hey, say hello.
Good morning and Happy New Year.
Perfect. Up to you, go.
All right, I am Tracy Benzo representing Atlanta Post 6. It is a true honor, pleasure, and privilege to nominate our colleague, my friend, and sister-in-the-law, Shariki Cavett Jones, for Secretary of the State Bar of Georgia. To take a moment of personal privilege, thank you, Mr. President, and the leadership team for allowing many of us to participate today given the severe weather in and around our state. We always must stay agile and flexible to keep the business of the bar moving forward. Again, thank you. There's an old African proverb that states, if you want to go fast, go along. But if you want to go far, go together. Shariki is a transformational leader that will move us all farther together. On the continent of Africa, there are many tribes, but it is well known that when a child is born, it is a great occasion, an event to truly be celebrated. Some tribes even wait over a year to bestow the chosen name of the child. They watch the child grow, they look at the mannerisms and character of the child. Some even name the child based on their hopes and aspirations they have for the future. We know that names have meaning and that names are important. Shariki is truly one of one. Her distinct name carries her true leadership style. It is innate. It is her birthright. Shariki's name in Swahili represents someone who is focused on the community, cooperative, and value shared experiences, one who carries a message of unity and togetherness. Shariki will take us all far together. I have truly been blessed to spend over a decade working alongside Shariki in the trenches. She is truly a servant leader. But simply, Shariki gets stuff done. She is pragmatic and strategic in her approach. After a Gabwa presidency, you are equipped to run the free world. A few of us in person and virtually can testify to that fact. Amen. Shariki has the pedigree to be secretary. She earned her JD from Vanderbilt and BA from English in Dartmouth. She has over 15 years of experience in corporate law sector alone. She is currently the commercial transaction attorney director for Coyote Logistics in Atlanta. She is a proven leader in the legal community. For example, as we all know, she currently serves on the executive committee, probably sitting somewhere in the front row or somewhere in the front, as she usually is. She is very consistent. Past president of the Georgia Association of Black Women Attorneys, past chair of the Multi-Bar Leadership Council, big brother, big sister of Atlanta mentor, trustee of Dartmouth College Club of Georgia, and the steering committee member of Service Jurors. Given all the balls that Shariki balances, serving the legal community and our community at large, she still finds time to nurture, support, and galvanize the next generation of lawyers. She currently is an adjunct professor at Emory University. If we want to go far, please join me in supporting Shariki Jones as the next Secretary of the State Bar of Georgia. She is truly one of one. She is a transformational leader and will take us to new heights. It is her birthright. It is in her name. She carries the message of unity and togetherness. Thank you for your time and consideration. Be safe, stay warm until we meet again.
Thank you. Now, when I wanted to plan this meeting for Savannah, that background was what I had in mind. Just want y'all to know and to thank her for bringing the background of the intent of this meeting. While the weather here is not great, it is still better than the weather in Atlanta. All right, do we have a second for Shariki Jones for secretary? We do, all right. Mr. McAfee?
Well, I will echo what Tracy said. I've known Shariki for a decade and a half now. We served on the board of the YLD, and I want to echo the president's importance of serving in the YLD and leadership roles and what that prepares you for. And Shariki, why she went from the board to the newsletter, I'll have no idea, but that shows her level of service, and her taking an active role in the YLD has prepared her for this position, and I have no reservation whatsoever to recommend Shariki for the board. And I got these books, and y'all have to look at them because that was our service in the YLD. Damon, you're in there. Judge Del Campo's in there. I mean, there's a lot of great pictures. And the picture that is most impressive is Shariki has not changed in her picture. She still looks great, but if you'll look at Joseph Dent's picture, I'll have to point that out. It does not look like Dent. But please join me in supporting and electing Shariki.
Thank you. Do we have any other nominations for the office of secretary? Hearing none, we will close the nominations for secretary. Do we have any nominations for the office of treasurer? We're getting there. Are you going to promote? I hear Judge Morris is going to make an appearance. I want to thank Judge Morris in advance for having a background that doesn't make us jealous. We can see you, Judge Morris. We can't hear you yet.
I'm actually
There you are.
the background to none. Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I apologize, but I got stuck in the snow, so I'm at home. So, with that being said, to the members of the Georgia Supreme Court, the Court of Appeals, our president, executive board, and members of the Board of Governors, my name is Shandina Cruz Morris, and I rise to nominate Javon Hicks to serve as treasurer of the State Bar of Georgia. Now, I have known Javon both personally and professionally for over 2 decades, and that is a really, really long time. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about Javon seeing from a distance and how that relates to the very important and crucial role of treasurer. A treasurer's role is crucial because the treasurer is responsible for managing an organization's finances, ensuring proper budgeting and planning, accurate record keeping, financial reporting, and financial oversight. Javon has that experience. When Javon served as Chief Assistant District Attorney in DeKalb County, Javon oversaw the day-to-day operations and assisted with managing a budget of $12 million. As the former clerk of state and magistrate courts in DeKalb County, Javon developed and was responsible for overseeing 20 call centers and a budget totaling $20 million. As the former chief of staff with the Environmental Protection Agency, Javon was responsible for daily operations, a $600 million budget, and 900 employees. Javon served as treasurer when she was a member of GABWA's executive board. Javon has been a part of the State Bar Finance Committee since serving on the executive board, so Javon is well qualified to serve as treasurer. Now, as treasurer, one must take into consideration forecasting. Forecasting is a decision-making tool that uses past and present data to predict future outcomes. With forecasting, the goal is to maximize profit and optimize resources. There must be a plan, which is a set of activities that the business takes to achieve their goal. Simply put, prediction of the future, keeping business goals in mind. Just as with forecasting, Javon has been able to see from a distance as it relates to our profession and to our mission, which is to foster among our 42,689 active members of the bar, the principles of duty and service to the public, to improve the administration of justice, and to advance the science of law. Seeing from a distance and forecasting, Javon had a dream. She made a plan. The plan started in the distance, and many people didn't think that it would happen. And under the leadership of Bob Kaufman, Pat O'Connor, Buck Rogers, Ken Hodges, Daryl Sutton, Don Jones, Elizabeth Fight, Sally Aikens, Tony Del Campo, and Ivy Cadle, that vision and plan was accomplished. In 2016, the Wellness Task Force was formed, and between 2017 and 2018, the task force became the Wellness Committee. Now in 2025, we have the Center for Lawyer Wellbeing, and Javon was critically instrumental in this. Javon will have that same drive and dedication as treasurer. I believe I have made the case, and I proudly nominate Javon Hicks to serve as treasurer for the State Bar of Georgia. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Morris. This is a wonderful nomination. We appreciate it. And all right, well, you're here. Judge and past president Ken Hodges.
Thank you, Ivan. Darrell, not sure why you were surprised to be nominated chair of the Artificial Intelligence Committee, because it's widely regarded that you have the most artificial intelligence of any past president. Not many people could get me to dress up for a state bar meeting or to endure another Ivy Cable meeting, but Javon Hicks is one of them. And I like to give credit where credit is due. The PowerPoint that was put up was made by Shondina, but as she mentioned to y'all, she couldn't make it down here because she got about half a mile out of her driveway and decided to turn around and go back. So I'm just going to play her PowerPoint as I talk about Javon. We were all able to see how well she performed her job as secretary this morning, and so I am confident that she will continue to impress in her role as treasurer. Ivy tells me that the time limits don't apply to past presidents, so I'll try to keep it under an hour. But as I said, I like to give credit where credit is due. Javon has certainly given a lot of service to the State Bar of Georgia. I got to know her also, as Shondina said, almost 2 decades ago, but I really got to know her when she worked on the Wellness Task Force Committee with me. She took it over as chair of the committee and is turning it into the Wellness Institute. And she has done a great many things for the State Bar, as Shondina has already touched on. I want to say that, simply put, Javon Hicks makes everything she touches better. I proudly nominate her, or second her nomination for treasurer of the State Bar of Georgia.
Thank you, Judge. All right, do we hear any other nominations for treasurer? Hearing none, the nominations for the office of treasurer are closed. All right, office of president-elect. He rises again.
He is risen. Madam President, little Vladimir Putin, with limited intellectual resources, I rise to nominate my friend Bill Gentry to serve as president-elect of the State Bar of Georgia. I was not supposed to be here this morning, not because of a snowstorm, but because I couldn't find my way out of my own room because of my limited intellectual resources. But because Pat O'Connor was supposed to deliver this nomination. Pat unfortunately had a death in the family and had to attend a funeral today, and so I am filling in for him. I don't know exactly what Pat would have said, and with little time to prepare my own remarks, I'm going to speak a little bit from the heart. I've known Bill for a very long time. He and I both practice in Marietta together, have served on the Cobb County Bar Association, various committees and boards in the Cobb County Bar Association. I've had a chance through that experience and through my experience working with him in the State Bar of Georgia to see who Bill truly is, not only as a person, but more importantly for y'all, as a leader. Bill is kind. If you've ever encountered Bill, you know that he is one of the most kind people you'll ever encounter. A smile, you're always greeted with a smile, with a hug or a handshake, and with a friendly face and a friendly greeting. Bill is dedicated. Bill works hard for those he cares about, and I haven't found anybody yet that Bill actually knows that he doesn't truly care about. And so he works hard for everyone that he knows, from his church to his profession, to his office, to the bar, both locally and here statewide. Bill puts everything that he has into everything that he does because he cares about the people that he does it for. Bill is a true friend. If you need anything, Bill will be there for you and will provide it to you without question, without concern, and without any regard for what it actually may be that you're asking for, so long as it doesn't extend beyond the resources that he has available. I did once ask Bill for a very large amount of money, and he turned me down. That's the only time he has said no to me. These are important qualities not only for somebody who you are a friend with, but they're important qualities for a leader because they comprise the characteristics of a true leader. My life is better because Bill Gentry is my friend. This bar association will be better because Bill Gentry will be its leader. Thank you.
Judge, sir, you have whatever you want. Judge Joe Dent.
Good morning. I rise to second the nomination of Bill Gentry, and like Ken Hodges, although, Bill, when I got the email, I was like, dadgummit, I gotta wear a tie now. And then Bill sent me his resume. I know Bill, didn't know him real well, and as I was going through these 2 pages of stuff with a lot of acronyms and a lot of initials like NBI, and I could not find the National Bum Institute online, so I really didn't find out much about Bill. And then it dawned on me that last year I realized, if you like me believe in the paranormal, Bill is psychic. And here's why. Let me explain. Bill wrote a book, and it's on domestic law. And in 2003, he sent that book to me, and I was like, why the hell is he sending this book to me and wasting postage? I don't do domestic work. I don't even mediate domestic stuff. I hate domestic stuff. So on this very day last year, I had 2 life-changing events. One, I was sworn in as judge of Superior Court of Doherty Judicial Circuit. So today's my bench-iversary, as somebody said. So while I was in Atlanta reveling in my being sworn in as a judge, my own lawyer was filing my petition for divorce in Doherty County, because I do things on a grand stage. So 2 days later, I'm sitting in this meeting, this very meeting, and Bill is running unopposed for treasurer, and I'm sitting there contemplating my write-in vote because this fool's wasted postage sending me this book. And then his psychic ability occurred to me. The title of his book is I Want Out, A Woman's Guide to Finding Peace Through Divorce. He sent me the playbook. What litigator wants to go into trial knowing the other side's playbook? So, Bill, I'll follow you, not only support you for president-elect, but I will follow you into battle because you know where the bullets are going to come from.
Well done, Judge. Well done. Oh, just can't make some stuff up. All right. Do I hear any other nominations for the office of president-elect? Hearing none, all of the nominations are closed. My parliamentarian says I don't need a vote to close them, so I'm going to close them. And I would ask all of you to join me as we stand and congratulate these wonderful people who have thrown themselves in the way of the bullets, as you learn later on, and on their nominations to office and their willingness to serve. Thank you. I have enjoyed serving with each of you and am excited to hear your nominations and to see you continue your service. So thank you very much. All right, with that, I will call on Mark Middleton, one of our lobbyists, to help us with the advisory committee on legislation and the new legislative proposals.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. President. You know, there's an old legislative trick. If you put yourself at the end of one of these agendas, you can just get anything passed. So, fortunately, I don't think these 2 matters that are coming to you today require that. You've seen both of them. One of them, in fact, you've seen, I think, for 36 straight years. So here we go. We're on page 191 of your board book. The first proposal is brought to us by the Professionalism Committee. It is a proposal for a gubernatorial proclamation naming April as Legal Professionalism Month. We did this last year and the year before. It was well received by the governor's office. They were happy to do it, and it accomplishes the purposes that the committee had set forth in their application that you'll see there on 192, 193, and then a copy of the actual proclamation is there on 194. Mr. President, I'm happy to answer any questions in regard to that, and if not, I'll look to you to make the motions.
Okay. So as you may recall, and as I keep getting reminded, any sort of legislative action we do also has to have what we call a killer vote. And so do I have, so the first question, and I need a motion on, is whether the proposal support for a resolution of the General Assembly recognizing April 2025 as Legal Professionalism Month is germane to the scope and purposes of the bar. All right, do I have a second? All right, here, having motion and a second, is there any discussion? All right, hearing no discussion, we will open this up for a vote. And so here the question is whether the ACL proposal support for a resolution of the General Assembly recognizing April 2025, which happens to be Ivy Cattle's birth month, as Legal Professionalism Month, as presented, germane to the scope and purposes of the bar. And I'd remind you that only Board of Governors members vote, and this is a preliminary vote to actually passing the request. So A, you agree, B, you do not agree, and if you want to vote, vote quickly because it appears we've lost some folks because we're at 75, 78 votes. We're going to close the voting now, and we have 83 believe that this is germane and one does not. Okay, we will move to our second poll question. And so the question before the body is, do you approve ACL's recommendation to support support for a resolution of the General Assembly recognizing April 2025 as Legal Professionalism Month? Is there a motion to approve that recommendation? Do we have a second? All right, hearing a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we will publish the second poll question related to this matter. And if you'll please go ahead and vote. The question is, do you approve ACL's recommendation to support for a resolution of the General Assembly recognizing April 2025 as Legal Professionalism Month? A, you approve, and B, you don't approve. I see you're voting faster. You want your votes to be counted, and there we go. Thank you. All right, we'll publish the poll. All right, that one overwhelmingly passes. So as a result of that, this board will recommend as our legislative package support for a resolution of the General Assembly recognizing April 2025 as Legal Professionalism Month. We'll have one more thing to celebrate that month. All right, what's your second proposer, Mr. Middleton?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The second proposal comes from the Indigent Defense Committee. This is in regard to support for a budget appropriation for the Appellate Practice Resource Center. You guys recall we took a position on this last year and asked for an increase from $800,000 to $900,000. That was successfully accomplished. This year, the section asked that we support continuation of that $900,000 level, and that is the recommendation of the ACL.
All right, again, we've got to have a vote on germaneness that's followed by a vote on the actual recommendation. So the first question for you is whether or not the ACL proposal support for the Judicial Council's budget request for FY 2026 funding for the Georgia Resource Center is presented as germane, is germane to the scope and purposes of the bar. Do I have a motion that it is germane? Do I have a second? All right, hearing a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll open the poll. All right, so this is number 20, poll question 21, is the ACL proposal support for the Judicial Council's budget request for FY 2026, funding for the Georgia Resource Center as presented germane to the scope and purposes of the bar. Only Board of Governor members vote. Vote A for if you agree and vote B if you disagree. And I think the responses are sufficient to close the poll. All right, that one passes. All right, poll question number 2, and again, we need a motion and a second here. So the question before the body is, do you approve ACL's recommendation to support for the Judicial Council's budget request for FY 2026, funding for the Georgia Resource Center as presented? Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Having been moved and seconded, is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion as we wore you down with the 38 things we've previously approved, we will open the poll. All right, this is 22. Do you approve ACL's recommendation to support for the Judicial Council's budget request for FY 2026 funding for the Georgia Resource Center? A, to approve. B, not to approve. The votes appear to be sufficient to close the poll. Please close the poll. And that overwhelmingly passes. Thank you. All right, and with that, Mark, if you'll give us the legislative update, we'd appreciate it.
Okay, very good. All right, I'll keep this brief. Not a lot has changed since we were together in Jekyll, and with Jennifer and Rusty recovering from surgery, honestly, my major goal is just to make it to the legislative session on Monday without hurting myself. But it does start on Monday. It's constitutionally mandated that the legislature comes in on the second Monday in January. Because it was an election year, you have several new members that are showing up for the first time. So there'll be, this first week will be largely ceremonial with the governor's state of the state and really with just a scramble as folks get office space and get their committee assignments, et cetera. So we, in addition to the two items that you just approved, this board had also previously approved I started to say another, but a proposal from the fiduciary section, and then another budget item related to supporting appropriations for the victims of domestic violence. As we reported before, the makeup of the legislature is largely the same. The Republicans have majorities in the House and Senate. You'll recognize most of the names and the people that are in places of positions of responsibility, and the folks that we deal with on behalf of the state bar will largely be in place. A couple of interesting and key changes, though, in the Democratic leadership over in the House of Representatives. Carolyn Hughley from Columbus is now the minority leader, and then in the Senate, an attorney from Augusta, Harold Jones, who is now the minority leader. And in terms of issues, as has been widely publicized, there are going to be efforts on judges' salaries. They're also going to be we're expecting a tort reform package from Governor Kemp to be unfolded next week. And then the AOC reported our last meeting that there were 8 new Superior Court judgeships that were being recommended. I'll hang around for a few minutes afterwards if anybody has any specific questions, but as always, it's a pleasure to represent you all, and on behalf of Rusty and Roy and the rest of the team, we really appreciate it.
We appreciate the good work you all are doing at the Capitol and are looking forward to another productive session. All right, refer you to your written reports in your bar book, Code of Conduct for Bar Events, Office of General Counsel report, Sections report, Law Practice Management report, Institute of Continuing Legal Education report, and the media report. Is there any old business before the board? Hearing none, is there any new business before the board? Yes. Yes. Well, you come up here. New business, senior lawyers.
So I won't keep you long. First of all, thank you very much for the nomination. And let me join the clapathon for Paula. Let me just mention, I am trying to help form a senior lawyer division for the State Bar of Georgia. We've been chugging along, making progress. One of the things we really want the senior lawyers group to do is recognize and deal with cognitive decline. Another is to increase pro bono participation. And the third is to create kind of an environment where we can deal with the isolation that a lot of senior lawyers encounter. We are working on a business plan to present first to the executive committee, and then hopefully at the annual meeting in June, we can put it in front of you. If you have any questions, want to participate or help, please reach out to me. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Bill, for that update. That's more important work, and appreciate your dedication to that important topic. With that, we have an announcement, a special announcement that we don't normally get to have because we only get snow or ice or whatever it was in Georgia about every 8 years. And so we're going to hear about the condition of the roads from Sergeant Dexter Harden, who also deserves a round of applause because every time we come to these meetings, if you've noticed, there's some state patrol cars sitting out there and there's some troopers sitting out there, and we appreciate them keeping us safe. And so we want to thank you for that. He's always working behind the scenes. He's just a wonderful person and does a lot for us. So, and I don't really ever get to call on you, so I'm going to use this opportunity to do so. So thank you, Sergeant Harden. We're going to give you a round of applause as you let us know what's going on with the road.
Good morning. So the roadways are fine right now. The problem is in Atlanta, if you're going toward Atlanta or the northern areas, there's not going to be a high grade of temperature rising. It's 32 degrees right now in Atlanta. They anticipate the temperature to stay around 36 at the high. So if you wait to 3 o'clock to get on the road to go back, you got a chance of refreezing. So leave now. If you're planning on leaving, leave now, okay? Don't stick around and hang out, but go ahead and get on the road. A few trees are down. Most of the trees that are down, they have moved them off the roadway. There's a green light by the 501 traffic. There's a green, it's green all the way through. So, but if you wait too late, overnight, there's gonna be some more freezing. Every time it unthaws and refreezes, it gets worse. So get on the road now, be safe driving. If you need anything, I got troopers all over the state. Give me a call. If you don't have my number, most of you do have a way to contact me, but somebody can contact me, I'll make sure you get going. All right, thanks.
If you need anything, Damon or I or whoever on staff can help you get a hold of Sergeant Harden. He has been super helpful. We're grateful for him. Is there any reason for us to go into executive session so that we can wait on the roads to refreeze? I figured there was not. There is one thing that is worth doing before we officially adjourn. We're going to, Paula, get off your phone. We're going to embarrass you one last time. I know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Your service to the bar has been ridiculous. Stand up. This is Paula's last Board of Governors meeting. And so, we do hope you will come back. We invite you to do what so many of our Board of Governors members do so well, and that's sit in the back. Do you have anything you want to say?
I really feel appreciated. I think that there was a moment when Damon thought that there would be not enough fanfare for my departure. And so he turned this into the year-long farewell. So thank you all. This has been tremendous. It has been an honor. I've worked with most of the people in this room. I've loved it. And I really thank you all for your support through all these years. And I will come back and sit in the back row or be on the beach while you're in this meeting or whatever, and just enjoy the boondoggle that can be the State Bar of Georgia. But thank you so much. I get it. You appreciate me. I love that. I feel appreciated. Stop.
And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you. Travel safe.